Hello, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but it's time for me to make my Senate prediction for August. The election is coming up, so let's start. And that's that for those states. So as you can see, a lot of the safe states are in. I do want to talk briefly about some of them. So for New Jersey, I will expect some big news in the coming weeks. I know there was a rumor that perhaps Bob Menendez would either drop out from the race or resign from the Senate, or it could be the opposite. Maybe he resigns and doesn't run, or runs, and then I don't know. Just expect some shenanigans from Bob Menendez as always, because Gold Bar Bob and all this corruption. And let me go to the polling we're headed to. But yeah, back to Bob. He threw his wife under the bus. Yeah, I mean, typical slimy politician as always. But let's see. The GOP nominee, as many of you know, is actually Bashaw. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, but I expect Bob Menendez to either drop out or to literally hit maybe like 3% at most, and that's why I think that Andy Kim will win by a safe margin right now. But yeah, I mean, West Virginia, we all know that Jim Just is going to win here by a landslide, especially since, it's no Joe Manchin for the Democrat Party of West Virginia's death sentence, essentially. Maryland, some people do think that Larry Hogan has a decent shot at Maryland, but in my opinion, it's too blue of a state for that to happen. We've seen them in the past where for example, Montana a few years ago, we had a former governor run for Senate, and it still didn't really make a huge difference, still lost by like 10%. And I expect this to be an also Brooks victory by, 20%, since it's a really deep blue state. And anything else? Minnesota, with Tim Walz being the Democrat nominee, VP nominee by Harris, I expect Amy Klobuchar to absolutely win here by a landslide, even bigger than before, maybe even 15-20%. And yeah, let me see, we talked about that. New York is a shout for it to be a bit lower than safe, but we will see about that. Let me see, I'm just checking that I'm not missing anyone. Nebraska, so briefly, for the seat held by Deb Bisher, this one is one of those shouts, just like New York, maybe not being as safe blue, that it could be much closer, but it's going to be interesting to see. I still think that the Republicans will win here, but from the low amounts of polls we've gotten, it does show Dan Osborne, who the Democrats actually didn't run a candidate, so maybe that will help him. Maybe it's gonna be below 15% or 12%. And it's just a race to, watch out for. Perhaps it could be a bit of a surprise in a way that is kind of close, like Utah was in the Senate back in 2022. Utah, not that much, to be honest. Missouri, Josh Hawley victory. That's it for the safe states, in my opinion. So let's go now to the likely states, the kind of like the high likely states. These states are basically the ones that are almost safe states. For example, New Mexico, for example, let's go to that one. This could easily be a safe state or a safe race for the Democrats. We got Heinrich going against a really good nominee by the GOP, Nella Dominici, I don't know. Terrible names yet again. Back in 2018, as you saw here, Gary Johnson actually ran for Senate, which took a lot of the votes. And it was a blue wave, but I expect it to just be below 12%, so I think he's going to win here by like 10 to 12%. Another race, I think that's, let's see. Yeah, let's go to Virginia first of all. So Virginia, this has been a race that I thought Hong Kao, the GOP nominee, would have done better, but I would say on every couple weeks, Hong Kao does say something really dumb that he shouldn't say, and maybe that's going to come back to haunt him. But, as many of you know, it's Tim Kaine, the Democrat nominee for vice president, aka Hillary's VP in 2016, who is the current Democrat, senator of that state. And, you know what? Let me actually go here. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Let me do that for y'all. So it just makes it easier, and because some of the polls are not on Wikipedia. So Virginia, I don't think there's any, but if there is, let's go here. So we got Tim Kaine winning by a decent margin, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins by safe margin. I know there's a lot of hype by the GOP that they could actually not only flip the Senate race, but also the state with Trump winning Virginia over Harris. But I think that's just overhype, and I don't think that's going to happen unless it's like a R plus 8-10 environment, something like that, which I don't think it will happen, but we'll see. Still, I'm gonna give Kane the victory by around 9 to 11%. I think he's doing quite well. It's not of him doing quite well, it's more like Hunk Out doing quite bad. But it's not terribly bad, it's just like mediocrely bad. But yeah, that's it for those. So let's go to kind of like I don't know how to say this, a safe likely R state. Kind of like in the best way to say it's around 7 to 9% in my opinion right now. So as many of you know, this is actually Ted Cruz's seat. And if you saw my last Senate video, maybe like a year ago, as many of you know, I've seen that Ted Cruz has slowly but surely has changed his rhetoric and slowly kind of tried to like make himself look as good, make himself look more moderate in some ways, even though his voting's still the same. It's just the way he speaks, and that's really interesting. He's a very smart guy. He knows that the trends within his state are against the GOP. So that's why he's, trying his absolute best to go to the middle. And as many of you know, most people have this as likely R, lean R. Colin Allred, I don't know. He's an okay nominee. He's not like an A tier, but he's I.
For governor.
We haven't had a good poll in a while. We got this one from YouGov, and it shows Cruz narrowly winning. But with Harris being the Democrat nominee, I think Democrats will bleed quite a lot in the Sun Belt, and it's not gonna be amazing. I think Joe Biden would have done better in the Sun Belt. I mean, who knows? Maybe he would have done worse. It just depends on so many things because so many what ifs. But yeah, I think even though the state is, in my opinion, honest opinion, I do think that the state is trending to the left slowly. Still think that Ted Cruz will win here. Nice. Thank you for leaking my information, man. Okay, as I was saying, Ted Cruz, I think he's going to coast the re-election by an okay margin by, I'm going to say 6 to 8%. It's going to be interesting to see how Harris does at the top of the ticket, because that will affect Democrats quite a lot. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Now, for other, let me see any other races that could be. Yeah, let's go to the races that are going to be very close to being lean in my opinion. So let's go to first of all, Florida. So Florida, as many of you know, it's Rick Scott, a guy who barely won his first last time he ran for re-election, or was it no, sorry about that. It was his first time, against Bill Nelson, and the Democrats in Florida have been bleeding ever since. He's likely going to face Muskerall, Democrat from Debbie Muskerall Powell. Actually, I think she was born in Ecuador, which is nice. There's also other Democrats, but she's probably the best one out of the bunch. And even with her being I'm not gonna say like an anti-socialist Democrat, I won't say that, but she's more to the middle on that sort of thing. And Democrats know that the key. I mean, I shouldn't say this. I should say that the best way for Democrats to win in Florida is by going with the anti-socialist centrist Dems. But that's really their only shot they got at having any chance in Florida, because Florida is basically the capital of Trumpism. But yeah, you got these polls here, and I expect Rick Scott to win here by a likely margin. I do think he definitely does way worse than Donald Trump. I should say Trump outruns him by a handful of points. And maybe this could be a Ron Johnson all over again, where polls have him going by way more than in actuality, and actually he underperforms yet again, winning by a similar situation. But I doubt that happens. I think he wins here by 5 to 7%. And now for Arizona. So Arizona, as many of you know, it's Kari Lake, the GOP nominee who ran for governor in 2022, running for Senate. And she hasn't changed that much. She has tried a bit to moderate herself in some ways, but she still has those statements against anti-McCain Republicans, or anti-McCain acolytes, which, her saying she doesn't need them, that sort of thing. And let me check one thing real quick. All good. As I was saying, Ruben Gallego, basically a really good recruit by the Democrats. He has endorsements from all the way from progressives to centrists, and I expect him to win here quite easily. He also has endorsements. Some McCain Republicans do like him, and he has gotten some of their endorsements, but I mean, it's really what depends. It depends on what you define a Republican, you know. Mark Lamb, there is some polling that does show that she's barely edging out Mark Lamb, and if that's true, then that's a big yikes for her. That means that, yeah, she's probably gonna do even worse in the general election, but yeah. I do think Gallego will win here by a likely margin, I think, which is crazy to see this. It's kind of a curse, but I think he's going to win here by just... Oh man, I forgot state. Well, whatever. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Sorry, I forgot about Pennsylvania. I'm not gonna restart the video. I know some of you were like, "Oh my god, maybe McCormick does way better," but no. Sorry. I think he wins here by 5 to 7%, or I should say no. I think he wins here by probably like 5. Yeah, around like 6%. But yeah, Bob Casey. I mean, thankfully the race is kind of boring. Bob Casey Jr. against McCormick. McCormick is I would say like a C tier candidate for sure. He ain't great, but Bob Casey overall Jr. is a great incumbent. He's outran multiple times in his re-election bids, and I expect him to do that. I wouldn't even be surprised if this is a safe race for Democrats, and I'm gonna give him 10 to 12 victory for I think 9% to 11% victory. Yeah. But yeah, sorry about that. I hate doing that one. But yeah, I'm not going to restart the video over just a simple error. Let's see, what next? Let's now go to the Rust Belt, actually. So, let's see, which one should I go for? I think we got to go with the most boring one for sure. So, in my opinion, for the biggest mid-off in the Senate election, it has to be Slotkin versus Mike Rogers. I mean, both of these... the most boring candidates from both primaries got the victory. And Slotkin, seen someone that progressives hate. They see her as being too centrist, while Mike Rogers, some people see him as a neocon or just not being Trumpy enough. He also has some issues with, living in Florida like just 2 years ago and then coming back to Michigan, kind of like a bit of a carpetbagger, even though, he did technically, he was in Congress from Michigan, but it's just boring. We could have had such better matchups, in my opinion, and this is really, for such an important state in the presidential level, to have these candidates be on the ticket is just like, because whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. You got some polls from Siena, basically saying Slotkin victory, and I agree with that. I think she's going to win here by guessing like 2.5% to 4.5%. Not much else to say about Michigan. Back in 2020 I should say, was actually very interesting, but I don't expect that to be in 2024. Now let's go to Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, you got Tammy Baldwin, the current incumbent Democrat, against most likely that's going to be the mustache man. Where is he at? Okay, let's see. It's Eric Hovda. So Eric Hovda, he does have a lot of online support, and we'll see if that also translates this November. So I wish he had a website by now. Let's go to right here. I'm actually should be well, whatever, it's fine. So let's go to Wisconsin, where on 538 the polls does show Baldwin actually winning by almost a likely margin. But with Harris being the Democrat nominee, I think you're gonna have some of these numbers drop down a bit. Still, I think Democrats will win here. Trump would have to win this state by like 4% in order for Hovda to win, in my opinion. I think Tammy Baldwin will win here by 2.5 to 4.5%. So yeah, you could see actually Michigan vote to the right of Wisconsin on the Senate level, which would be interesting. And now we're getting to that point where races are very close, but let's go to Nevada. So Nevada Senate, It's really interesting because I do have this take going for Donald Trump, but Jackie Rosen is a good candidate, and Sam Brown ran in 2022 for Senate too, but he got second place. In 2024, he got the nomination, of course. Democrats are lucky that she's running again, because I would have thought that if she decided to retire, I do think Sam Brown would win here. But from the polling we had, I think Sam Brown is just not going to win. I think Trump would have to win here, similar fashion, by 4%. And yeah, I think she wins here by 1 to 3%, so very narrow victory for her. And now for Ohio, it's, when Trump picked J.D. Vance as his VP nominee, I really thought that, for now, I thought that this would be a lock. Maybe one of the reasons why he picked Vance was to help Republicans in the Senate and down the ballot. That's what I'm trying to say. And from what I've seen, J.D. Vance's approval ratings are not that good, and from internal polling, seems like he's not helping the GOP in the state as of now. Maybe he will, but we will see about that. So we got Sherrod Brown, as you know, and Bernie Moreno. Bernie Moreno is probably in my opinion, one of the weakest candidates. Oh, my battery's about to die. Oh my god, sorry. I'm panicking because it's at 2%, I think. Oh, sorry about that. So I was saying Bernie Moreno is probably one of the weakest candidates that the GOP recruited. He does have that I shouldn't say rich, he has self-funding quite a lot, which is what the GOP really looked a lot for in this 2024 Senate elections, what I've seen, because of some donation issues. Trump doesn't have that, but the GOP down the ballot does. Bernie Moreno, he's just really meh. And, I don't know, I think Sherrod Brown is a really good incumbent. It's still going to be extremely close. Anything could happen, but I think Bernie Moreno will underperform, and it's gonna be very close. But as of now, I do think Sherrod Brown will narrowly win re-election, which is crazy to think that he actually has a chance, even with all the stuff going on. With the VP of the GOP presidential ticket being from Ohio, it's crazy, but still very narrow. Could easily be a Moreno victory, but for now, I do think Brown wins re-election. And now for Montana. So Montana is really going to be the most difficult state for Democrats to keep a hold in the Senate, in my opinion. John Tester, he's gotten really lucky in most of the times he's run for re-election. Yeah, and he needs 2024 to be a blue wave in order for that to happen. And he needs to outrun Donald Trump by like 15, 20 points. That's going to be a very tough task for him. But we also got Team Sheehy, who is another meh, self-funded GOP candidate. I don't know. I wouldn't call him amazing, but he's just meh. So here's some of the polling, and I will say Tester's a really good nominee, of course. Problem is, he's in a extremely, I wouldn't say extremely, I would say like a moderately safe Trump state, of course. And with Harris being on top of the ticket, I don't think it's going to be enough for the Democrats. And I see Tim Sheehy barely winning here, which is a statement by itself, because Republicans in the Senate should be winning here by a likely margin. But even though he's a bad candidate, I think it's just too hard for Tester to win. But yeah, as you can see, this is my current Senate map for 2024. And yeah, it's been a while, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Please share, like, and subscribe. Leave a comment, and have a good one.